This is your Daily 5 for Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. Up until about a month and a half or 2 months ago, I had a sound issue happening with my desktop PC that, from what I've read, is either because of some improper shielding on the motherboard or something with the GPU of a similar nature, where I was getting this buzzing sound when I was trying to play any games that had any type of decent graphics whatsoever. And, for a while, it was there, and I kind of ignored it. But it really started to grind on me when I was playing Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, because so much of that game is its atmosphere, and a lot of that atmosphere comes from the sound design. And so I finally got it fixed, and I don't remember it being as bad as it got, so something clearly aggravated or exacerbated it or something. And so I got a relatively inexpensive DAC, and that has solved the problem, so I've been playing the game again. And I was curious when I had last talked about it, and I didn't realize it was that long ago, but it was actually in November of 2024, so going on 2 years ago, that I did my impressions episode. And so I wanted to revisit it now because I'm probably, if I had to guess, I haven't looked at the percentage or anything, but I would guess I'm about 75% through the game. That's what it feels like, because I've been playing it for quite a while, and it just feels like the events of the game are starting to come together towards an ending. So I'm sure that it's not that far off, which does make me a bit sad, I'll admit, because I have had such a great time with this game. But that was basically, a lot of this is going to be me confirming through my now extensive gameplay what my impressions had already led me to think, which is that this game is spectacular, and I really cannot think of many games that manage to evoke the sense of atmosphere that it does. The closest I could come up with is actually the launch version, which does not exist anymore, of Fallout 76, when that world was very empty, when there weren't any NPCs, when you were wandering around without any real sense of what might be over the next hill. And that was a wonderful version of the game. Very different than today, and I enjoy the game today, but that was a very different version. Lando and I have talked about this. And Stalker 2 is like that, where there's been multiple times, and this is unusual for me in video games. One of the reasons I say I don't really care about ray tracing and a lot of the stuff that the real hardcore, technical people care about. I don't often stop to look around in games. I'm usually playing the game to achieve the objectives that the character is supposed to be caring about in the game. But Stalker 2 is different. Many times in Stalker 2, I'll just stop and look around and listen to it. And that's why the sound was so important in this case. I'm not even listening on headphones or playing in VR or anything. This is just the way the game works on a standard setup. And I'll just kind of enjoy that atmosphere because it is menacing, and yet it's tranquil. It's alien, even though it's grounded. It's such a unique style of atmosphere that this game manages to create. But again, the only thing I can think of is the launch version of Fallout 76. And then also one of the things I like about it is that it does treat you as the character that you're playing. You are never superpowered in this world. It is, much like real life, a case where the nature around you, the natural world around you, will always have a way, if it should so choose, there we go, to stomp you down with a granite-filled boot of death. So I've gone where I've been, because a lot of this game is walking. You can find guides in towns, assuming those towns stay friendly and assuming you can afford to use their services that will fast travel you around, but much of it is walking. And there's been times where I've logged in to the game, and I shouldn't say logged in, started up the game. There's no logging in. I've started up the game, walked for 30 minutes, encountering nothing but bird song and some wind blowing and leaves floating across the trail. Very, very peaceful. That might you think you were just out for a walk in a meadow. Then I'll get to an encampment or whatever, turn in a quest, stock up on supplies, embark for a new location, and get slammed to pieces by encounter after encounter after encounter. Humans, anomalies, monsters, more monsters. And it would feel unfair, except that that's the game as it's presented, which is that you are just a person, well-armored, well-armed, certainly, but around any corner, you don't know what you're going to get. And combined with that atmosphere, it's just such an amazing achievement, this game. I just adore it. I cannot think of anything of recent release that's like this. Maybe Star Wars Outlaws, which I'm also having a great time with, but for very, very different reasons. So I just felt like I should do an episode updating you on my experience with Stalker 2. And I am extremely, 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 extremely happy to say that, much like I thought with my impressions, this game has held up, and in fact, in many ways, has gotten better the more I've played with it. So if you've been missing out on this one, solve that immediately, because it's a great game, and you should play it. Later.